The film starts by showing an actor practicing his dialogues. In the movie, he is a priest who has to exorcise a girl. He was reading some holy verses from the script. Suddenly, the lights on the set start flickering, and the room he is standing in begins to shake violently. Out of nowhere, something invisible attacks the actor and kills him. The scene cuts here, and we are introduced to Lee and Anthony. Anthony is a dangerous substance addict, which has severely damaged his relationship with his daughter. She doesn't even call him dad anymore, and this has been the case since Anthony's wife died. Before his wife's accident, Anthony was an actor. However, after the accident, he became addicted to dangerous substances and abandoned his career. After spending about 2 years in a rehabilitation center, Anthony had become quite stable. As a result, he started getting roles in movies again. He was given the role of the actor we saw dying in the movie. Anthony was very happy about this role. He goes to the church to confess his sins. He had made many mistakes in his life. After his wife's death, he ruined his family, got addicted, and distanced himself from his daughter. But now, he wanted to fix everything. He wanted to work in a bank and reconnect with his daughter. At the same time, he wanted to bring peace to his wife's soul. Anthony returns home, where he and Lee talk about work. Lee also didn't have a job, so she became Anthony's personal assistant. When the shooting starts, Lee accompanies her dad to the set. There, she meets the lead character of the movie, Blake, and they become good friends. Blake shows her around the set. When they pass by a place where 2 robots are lying, one of the robots starts sparking strangely as soon as it sees Lee. The shooting begins, and Anthony talks to the priest on the set about his character. While discussing some verses from the Bible, Anthony's nose starts bleeding. He ignores it, thinking it might be a side effect of his medication. The funeral scene is covered very well. After that, Lee and Anthony return home. In the middle of the night, while Lee is using her phone, she hears a strange sound from the lounge. When she goes to check, she finds the door to the other room locked. Then, someone turns on the kitchen tap. As she goes to the kitchen to turn off the tap, she hears the sound of the lock opening. The door, which was locked before, is now open, and there is no one inside. She is about to ignore all these things and go back to her room when she sees Anthony, her dad, standing in the corridor. Lee approaches him, and he is mumbling something. She grabs him and tickles him, which startles Anthony for a moment. He then thinks he might have been sleepwalking. The next day, when Anthony goes for the shooting and is practicing his dialogues, he struggles to perform well. The director was also angry now. He tells Anthony, "Remember every bad thing that has happened in your life. Maybe then you will be able to give a convincing sad expression." We are then shown a flashback of Anthony's childhood when he lived in a convent where the father used to abuse the children. Anthony starts practicing his dialogues again. This time, as soon as he opens the dialogue papers, he finds something written inside. There are demon drawings and a message that reads, "Anthony, no one can save you from me." He opens his drawer to take something and sees a crucifix inside. As soon as he sees the crucifix, another flashback of his childhood is shown, where he had the same crucifix. After a while, Lee comes in and asks him, "Are you having any problems? Why are you not able to deliver the dialogues?" Anthony replies, "I am not able to deliver the holy words of the Bible as a dialogue." Lee responds, "This is because your belief in God is a little less. Believe in God and in yourself, and this work will seem easy to you." After hearing this, Anthony gets up but starts feeling dizzy. He tells Lee, "I should go to my room and rest." When Lee agrees, he leaves but goes to the basement instead of his room. Lee finds this strange and follows him. She hears some sounds coming from the bathroom in the basement. Quietly, Lee starts recording everything. Suddenly, her phone falls. When she picks it up, she sees her dad in front of her, bathing and urinating. Lee gets scared because Anthony's eyes are completely white, as if possessed, and he is looking at her through his nostrils. He quickly goes upstairs, still looking at Lee with those strange eyes. Once upstairs, Anthony goes to his washroom to take a shower. Lee screams behind him, "You have changed the medicines. This is a side effect. You should go to the doctor soon." Anthony ignores her words. While looking at Lee's body, it becomes clear that he is possessed by some evil force. A mark appears on his body for a few seconds and then disappears. On the movie set, neither the director, producer, nor any co-actor likes Anthony's acting. Upset, he drains again. Meanwhile, Father Lee asks Lee, "Do you believe in what is happening in this movie?" Lee replies, "I didn't before, but after what I saw tonight, I am starting to believe." Lee returns home and sees that Anthony had come home before her. His hands are badly injured, blood is flowing from his body, and his face looks almost the same. Lee says to him, "You started using dangerous substances again. You went back to the life I hated. That's why I won't stay with you anymore." Hearing this, Anthony goes crazy with anger. He shouts so loudly that all the glass items in the room break. He then confronts his daughter and says, "Where will you go? You have no school, no mother. You will stay with me in Batcham, Miss Ulgat." Lee gets very scared and angrily says, "Anthony, stay away from me." He responds, "I am not Anthony." The next day, Lee goes to the shooting set and meets her father. She tells him everything about Anthony. At night, Anthony used to say something in the washroom, which Lee had recorded. When father hears this, he gets scared because it is a serious matter. In the recording, Anthony is calling Demon Moloch, which is very dangerous. Father tells Lee, "Go to your house before I do anything about Demon Moloch." Anthony was suffering greatly. Meanwhile, the father's child also felt a strange energy. A flashback of Anthony's life is shown, where he was a kid and went to the father's room, where he was abused. Now it was time for the shooting. Anthony tried to say his dialogues, but his acting lacked emotion. Everyone criticized him, which made Anthony angry. He threw the crucifix in his hand and descended the stairs, hitting his hand. His eyes were completely white, as if possessed. As he descended the stairs, his body started to twist unnaturally, with his back turning in the opposite direction multiple times. When Lee tried to stop him, saying, "Anthony, stop," he responded, "Anthony didn't die." He then started hitting his head on the table. Seeing all this, the director replaced Anthony with another actor. While the new actor was rehearsing his dialogues, Anthony attacked him with a glass, killing him. This incident halted the movie's shooting, upsetting the main character. Lee brought her home, but Anthony attacked both of them again. Upset, they told him to leave. In response, Anthony jumped out of the window but didn't fall, he disappeared. Lee and the director went to the father and told him everything. The father explained that Anthony was possessed by the demon Moloch and would be found where the possession started, on the movie set. When Lee returned to the set, she saw a Bible lying in front of her. As she went to pick it up, Anthony appeared behind her. Frightened, she started reading a Bible verse. The demon, now in Anthony, read the same verse along with her. The verse had no effect on him. The demon said, "I have been listening to this for centuries, and now it doesn't work on me." Lee pleaded with the demon, "Please, leave Anthony. He is dying." The demon replied, "He has been dying for years." The demon then attacked Lee, but she had a crucifix in her hand, which she placed on the demon's head, causing it to weaken. The demon's powers diminished, and he left Anthony's body, entering the father's body instead. The movie goes into a flashback, revealing why the demon had targeted Anthony. In his childhood, while living in the convent, the father abused him and marked a crucifix on his head. The place was not dedicated to God, but to the demon. This trauma stayed with Anthony, making him vulnerable to possession. Back in the present, the demon is now in the father's body. To save the father, Anthony picks up the holy crucifix and starts reading a Bible verse. This time, the verse affects the demon because Anthony, free from his childhood trauma and with faith in God, reads it with conviction. The demon becomes weak and leaves the father's body. In the last scene, we see Anthony and Lee together. Anthony and Lee were now living their normal lives. Anthony went to church every day, while Lee was writing the rest of the story with him. She wanted to turn it into a film. The movie story ends here.